Hey guys, let's slow things down for a moment. Tonight, there's nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to remember, and know where you need to go. Just let the world fade into the background and allow your mind to drift gently through time. We're going to travel very far back to a world where stone cities rose from jungles, where calendars measured eternity, and where civilizations didn't vanish suddenly. They slowly, quietly faded away. This is the story of ancient civilizations, not the dramatic version, not the loud version, but the slow one, the kind of history you can fall asleep to, long before modern nations existed, before borders and clocks and streetlights. Human societies were already building complex worlds. They studied the sky, shaped stone with patience, and organized life around rhythms older than memory itself. Among them were the Maya, the Aztec, and the people of Babylon. Their cities are quiet now. Their voices are gone, but their stories remain, scattered in ruins, clay tablets, broken temples, and half-forgotten myths. We begin in the dense, green landscapes of Mesoamerica. Long before Europeans ever crossed the ocean, the Maya were already ancient. By the time the Aztecs rose to power, many Maya cities had already been abandoned for centuries. Stone pyramids stood silent beneath the jungle canopy, slowly being reclaimed by roots, moss, and rain. Parrots nested where priests once stood. Trees grew through staircases that once echoed with footsteps. The Maya civilization did not begin as a single empire. It emerged slowly over thousands of years as small farming communities settled near rivers and fertile land. Corn became the foundation of life. Maize was more than food. It was identity, culture, and belief. According to Maya mythology, humans themselves were created from corn. Villages grew into towns. Towns became cities. By around 250 AD, the Maya had entered what historians now call the Classic Period. Cities like Tikal, Calakmul, Palenque, and Kapan rose above the forest, each functioning as an independent city-state. They were connected by trade, rivalry, marriage, and war, but no single ruler controlled them all. Life in these cities followed a careful rhythm. Farmers worked the fields outside the city centers, while priests, nobles, artisans, and astronomers lived closer to the ceremonial cores. Stone temples rose step by step toward the sky, aligned with the sun, the moon, and the movements of planets. The Maya watched the heavens with remarkable precision. They tracked Venus. They measured eclipses. They created calendars so complex that even today they impress modern scientists. Time for the Maya was not a straight line. It was a cycle, repeating, turning, renewing. Days were alive. Years had personalities. History itself was sacred. And yet, despite their knowledge, their cities would not last forever. There was no single night when the Maya disappeared. No final battle. No sudden collapse. Instead, over centuries, Cities were slowly abandoned. Droughts came and went. Soil grew tired from intensive farming. Rulers demanded larger monuments, more labor, more tribute. Wars between city-states drained resources and stability. People left quietly. Families packed what they could carry. Fields were left untended. Stones cracked in the sun. By around 900 AD, many major Maya cities in the southern lowlands were empty. The jungle moved in slowly, covering plazas and pyramids with green silence. But the Maya people did not vanish. They adapted, migrated, and survived in new forms, in new places. Centuries later, another civilization would rise in the same broad region, different, powerful, and brief. The Aztecs. Unlike the Maya, the Aztecs arrived late. They were newcomers, wandering groups who settled in the Valley of Mexico in the 13th century. According to their own stories, they were guided by prophecy, told to build their city where they saw an eagle perched on a cactus. They found that sign on an island in Lake Texcoco. There they built Tenochtitlan. At first, it was modest. Then it grew, stone by stone, canal by canal, causeway by causeway. The city expanded until it became one of the largest cities on Earth. Floating gardens, called chinampas, fed hundreds of thousands. Markets buzzed with trade. Temples rose above the water, painted in color and alive with ceremony. The Aztec Empire was fast, organized, and demanding. Unlike the Maya city-states, the Aztecs ruled through conquest and tribute. They allowed local rulers to remain in power as long as they paid taxes in goods, labor, and loyalty. Gold, cacao, feathers, textiles, all flowed into the capital. Religion shaped everything. The Aztecs believed the universe was fragile. The sun itself required nourishment to rise each day. Human sacrifice was not cruelty in their worldview. It was duty, a way to keep the cosmos in balance. For a time, the system worked. Then, in 1519, unfamiliar ships appeared on the horizon, and the world changed. But that comes later. For now, let the cities breathe. Let the stone warm under the sun. Let the water reflect the temples. Nothing is rushing us. Far across the ocean, long before the Maya or Aztecs ever existed, another civilization had already risen and fallen beside two great rivers. Babylon, in the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates, humanity learned how to write, how to govern, and how to measure time itself. Clay tablets preserved laws, prayers, trade records, and star charts. Cities rose from mud, brick, and belief. Babylon was not just a city. It was an idea of order, law, and cosmic balance. Empires rose and fell around it. Kings ruled and vanished. Yet Babylon endured again and again, rebuilt on its own ruins. But even Babylon would eventually fade, quietly, slowly, like all civilizations do. And as you listen, As your breathing slows, remember this. History doesn't end. It drifts. Civilizations don't disappear. They dissolve into time. The world does not change all at once. It shifts slowly, almost politely, giving people time to notice or to miss it entirely. When the Aztecs were at the height of their power, Tenochtitlan was a city of water and stone. Canals reflected the sky. Canoes moved quietly between neighborhoods. Bridges connected islands to the mainland, rising each night for security and lowering again at dawn. The city breathed in rhythm with the lake. At the center stood the Templo Mayor, a towering structure layered with meaning. Each level told a story of devotion, conquest, and cosmic balance. Priests climbed its steps with steady purpose. Crowds gathered below, watching rituals they believed sustained the universe itself. Life for ordinary people followed predictable patterns. Farmers tended chinampas. Artisans shaped obsidian blades and painted ceramics. Merchants traveled long distances, carrying news as much as goods. Children learned stories of gods, heroes, and ancestors whose sacrifices shaped the present. The empire expanded outward from the lake, not through total destruction, but through control. Conquered cities kept their rulers, their customs, their daily lives. What changed was obligation. Tribute was required. Failure meant punishment. Resistance meant war. Over time, resentment grew quietly beneath the surface, waiting. Then strangers arrived. They did not look like gods, despite later myths. They were tired, hungry, uncertain men from across the ocean. Horses, steel, and unfamiliar weapons followed them, along with something far more devastating: disease. Smallpox moved faster than armies. It slipped through crowded streets, marketplaces, and homes. It did not care about strength or belief. It weakened rulers, killed warriors, and left societies disoriented. Long before the final battles, the empire had already been wounded. The fall of the Aztecs was swift compared to the Maya. Cities burned, alliances shifted. Tenochtitlan was besieged, starved, and broken. The lake filled with debris and silence. Temples fell. Stones were reused to build a new city atop the old one. Yet again, a civilization did not truly vanish. Aztec descendants lived on. Language survived. Customs adapted. Memory endured beneath new structures and new names. History moved forward. Across the ocean, Babylon had already experienced this cycle many times. Long before the Aztecs built their temples, Babylon stood as a center of law, trade, and cosmic understanding. The Code of Hammurabi was carved in stone, rules meant to outlast rulers. Justice, though harsh, was structured. Society followed order. The city rose and fell under different empires: Akkadian, Assyrian, Persian. Each conquest reshaped it, yet Babylon remained Babylon. Its walls were legendary. Its gardens, whether real or imagined, symbolized human desire to bring beauty into harsh landscapes. Babylonian astronomers studied the sky night after night. They tracked planets, mapped stars, and recorded movements with patient precision. Time became something measurable, predictable, sacred. But rivers change course. Trade routes shift. Power moves elsewhere. When Babylon declined, it did so gradually. Administrative centers relocated. Populations thinned. Buildings crumbled back into dust. The city faded into memory, preserved in texts rather than stone. And so the pattern repeats. The Maya withdrew into the forest. The Aztecs fell into conquest and disease. Babylon dissolved into time. None of them ended in a single moment. They lingered. As you rest now, notice how civilizations resemble sleep itself. Awareness fades slowly. Sounds become distant. Structures remain, but their meaning changes. Nothing disappears, it simply transforms. People wake the next day and continue. History is patient, and so are we. As generations passed, the memory of great cities softened into stories. Stones cracked, names changed, and meaning drifted. What once felt permanent slowly became distant, like a dream recalled only in fragments. In the lands once shaped by the Maya, life continued quietly. Small communities adapted to the rhythms of forest and rain. Cornfields returned. Rivers flowed as they always had. The jungle did not mourn the cities it covered. It simply grew. Maya knowledge did not disappear with stone temples. Calendars were remembered. Languages evolved but endured. Rituals adapted. Even today, millions of people carry Maya ancestry, their daily lives shaped by traditions far older than written history. The idea that a civilization vanishes is often a misunderstanding. What disappears is power. What remains is people. In the former heart of the Aztec world, a new city rose from the ruins of Tenochtitlan. Spanish stone replaced indigenous temples. Canals were filled. Lakes were drained. Yet beneath the streets, the old city remained. Foundations overlapped. Memories layered. Markets still formed where markets always had. Paths followed ancient routes. Daily life adapted around new rulers, new languages, new beliefs. Time moved forward, but echoes stayed. Babylon, too, became an echo. Travelers spoke of ruins half buried in sand. Scholars read tablets and tried to imagine voices long gone. Stories of towers reaching the heavens lingered in myth, warning of ambition and pride. Yet Babylon's influence traveled far beyond its walls. Law codes inspired future systems. Astronomy shaped later sciences. Timekeeping influenced calendars used across the world. Civilizations leave fingerprints, not footprints. They shape what comes after, quietly, invisibly. As you listen now, notice how history feels different when it slows down. Without battles and dates rushing past, the past becomes softer. Time moves differently when no one is watching it. Centuries passed, and the lands once ruled by great civilizations settled into quieter rhythms. Forests thickened. Rivers shifted their courses. Stones that once formed temples and palaces became part of the ground itself, slowly blending back into the earth. In the former Maya regions, people learned to live with uncertainty. Rain did not always come when expected. Soil sometimes failed. Yet communities adapted, just as they always had. Knowledge passed not through monuments, but through memory. Stories were told by firelight. Calendars were remembered through ritual rather than stone carvings. Life became smaller, but not poorer. Families farmed. Children learned to count days and seasons. Elders remembered when certain stars appeared and what they meant. The sky remained the same sky their ancestors had watched centuries earlier. Time continued its cycle, indifferent to the rise and fall of cities. In the Valley of Mexico, the transformation after the Aztec fall reshaped everything. The lake that once held Tenochtitlan was slowly drained. Canals disappeared. Streets replaced water. Yet beneath the ground, layers of history remained pressed together. People walked unknowingly above buried temples. Markets still filled the same spaces. Trade still followed familiar paths. Even when languages shifted and beliefs changed, daily routines retained ancient shapes. The city forgot its past without truly losing it. Babylon's land grew quiet. Wind passed over broken walls. Sand settled where crowds once gathered. Travelers described ruins with curiosity rather than reverence. The city became a symbol rather than a place, a memory of ambition, law, and human order. But its ideas traveled farther than its walls ever had. Roman scholars studied Babylonian astronomy. Medieval thinkers inherited mathematical systems shaped in Mesopotamia. Modern calendars still echo ancient calculations of time, first refined near the Euphrates. Civilizations fade, but knowledge drifts onward. As you listen now, notice how none of this happens quickly. Nothing shatters in an instant. Instead, systems loosen, structures weaken, people adjust. Memory changes shape. History does not shout when it ends. It whispers. Empires fall quietly at first. A harvest fails. A tax becomes heavier. A ruler loses legitimacy. A road goes unrepaired. Then another thing fails. And another. Eventually, what once felt solid becomes fragile. Yet life continues. Children are born. Songs are sung. Fields are planted. As your mind slows, imagine the long view, centuries passing like breaths. Cities becoming hills. Names becoming myths. Stone becoming soil. Nothing is lost entirely. Nothing remains unchanged. And in that gentle transformation, history rests. Civilizations do not end with a bang. They end slowly, quietly, in ways that are almost invisible to the people living within them. In the jungles once ruled by the Maya, the air is thick with growth. Trees twist around stone steps. Vines climb temple walls. Birds and insects make homes where priests once prayed. The sun filters through the canopy, casting shifting shadows over plazas that are no longer filled with life. Life goes on, just in a different form. People cultivate small gardens. Families move along narrow paths. Children laugh in ways that echo across centuries. The land itself remembers the work of humans, terraces and hills, water channels, stone walls, but it does not mourn. It continues. The Maya people themselves did not vanish. They adapted, migrated, and survived. Their culture persists in language, in ritual, in the rhythms of farming. Their calendars and stories continue quietly in the minds of their descendants. Far to the north, in the Valley of Mexico, Tenochtitlan's stones tell a different story. The Aztec Empire was shattered by foreign conquest, disease, and internal stress. Streets were rerouted, temples dismantled, canals filled. A new city arose on top of the old one, yet layers of history remain beneath the surface. Foundations of old temples, fragments of obsidian tools, pottery shards, and canals invisible to the eye. Life above the ruins continues, daily routines, trade, governance. But the past is never entirely gone. It is buried, remembered, waiting. Babylon, too, whispers from the past. Long before the Maya or the Aztecs, people walked its streets. They traded, wrote, measured the stars, built walls, and recorded laws. Kings came and went. Empires rose and fell. Over time, the once great city became quieter. Rivers shifted. Sand covered streets. Palaces crumbled. Walls became ruins. But the knowledge remained. The laws influenced later civilizations. Mathematics shaped astronomy. Timekeeping informed calendars across millennia. Civilizations leave more than stones behind. They leave ideas, practices, and frameworks. Even as monuments fade, the human mind carries the legacy forward. As you listen, notice how slowly these changes occur, not with dramatic battles or explosive destruction. Instead, with subtle shifts, crops failing, soil tiring, rivers moving, rulers losing legitimacy. Life continues in the small, quiet ways. People adapt. Children are born. Work continues. Communities survive. The rhythm of civilization is similar to the rhythm of sleep. At first, awareness is sharp. Then it softens. Thought slows. Sounds fade. Consciousness drifts. And yet, beneath it all, the body, the mind, the world continues its cycles. Growth, adaptation, survival, persistent, and steady. In this way, we see history as gentle, not violent. It unfolds over decades, centuries, and millennia. Even when civilizations fall, they contribute to what comes after. Knowledge, infrastructure, cultural practices, and social organization ripple forward, shaping new societies. As your breathing slows and your mind relaxes, picture the ruins around you. Stone steps softened by time, canals hidden beneath city streets, trees growing through plazas, the wind carrying the faint echo of human life from centuries ago. Nothing is lost entirely. Nothing is forgotten completely. Change is the only constant, and in that quiet transformation, there is peace, there is continuity, there is life. The passage of time is subtle. One day is not different from the next. Yet over decades, cities rise and fall, forests reclaim stone, and humans adapt. In the lands once ruled by the Maya, the forest has its own rhythm. Leaves fall, roots grow, and rain softens the edges of human work. The stone temples, once climbed by priests and nobles, are now quiet. Birds perch on their steps. Insects crawl along carved reliefs. The sunlight moves slowly across the plazas, shifting patterns like a gentle clock. The Maya themselves endured quietly. Villages adapted to environmental changes. Families migrated to more fertile land. Knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and ritual survived, passed from elder to child. Stories and songs became the new monuments. Even without grand stone pyramids, the essence of civilization persisted. Further north, in the Valley of Mexico, the Aztec legacy still breathes. Tenochtitlan may have been destroyed and rebuilt as Mexico City, yet the influence of the Aztec system of governance, markets, agriculture, and urban design survives subtly. Farmers still cultivate chinampas, though modern tools are used. Streets trace ancient pathways. Local traditions continue in language, festivals, and rituals. Life adapts, yet memory endures. And far away, Babylon whispers through time. Ancient clay tablets, inscribed with codes and astronomical observations, survive to inform generations long after kings have died. Scholars, rulers, and thinkers centuries later drew upon Babylonian innovations in law, mathematics, and urban planning. Rivers changed course. Palaces crumbled. Yet knowledge transcended stone and sand. Civilizations do not vanish. They transform. They leave behind more than monuments. They leave principles, practices, and patterns that guide those who come after. Consider this slowly. Law, trade, city design, governance, education, culture, all of these are inherited, adapted, and layered across centuries. The fall of an empire does not erase its contributions. It merely changes the form in which they exist. As you listen, imagine walking slowly through these ancient landscapes. The Maya forest, humid and alive. The canals and streets of Tenochtitlan, empty, but echoing with past activity. The ruins of Babylon, sun-baked and silent. Every stone, every wall, every artifact carries a memory. Not a memory of conquest or destruction, but of human persistence. Knowledge preserved. Life adapted. Civilization moved forward. Even when political power collapses, civilization endures quietly in the background. Social structures, practical knowledge, and cultural practices continue. Every day, people rebuild, reuse, and remember, often without realizing the lineage of what they inherit. The cycle of rise, adaptation, and quiet decline is not tragic. It is natural. It is inevitable. And it is essential. Your breathing slows. Your mind drifts. Time stretches gently. Civilizations whisper to one another across centuries. The Maya teach patience. The Aztecs teach organization. Babylon teaches order. Their voices are soft now, yet they are not gone. They are carried in stone, in soil, in story, in ritual, in memory. History does not scream. It whispers. It moves steadily. And through it all, humanity continues. Civilizations are patient teachers. They do not demand attention. They do not insist on glory. They simply leave traces. And those who observe carefully can learn from them. The Maya left their cities to the forest, and in doing so, taught us about adaptation. Even without great pyramids or bustling plazas, the essence of society survived in the hearts of its people. Knowledge of agriculture, ritual, and astronomy passed quietly from generation to generation. Calendars continued to mark the seasons. Stories continued to shape moral understanding. The rhythm of life persisted. In the Valley of Mexico, the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan rose and fell, yet its urban design and agricultural systems influenced future generations. Canals, causeways, and chinapas were models of ingenious adaptation to environment, water, and human need. The people endured. Markets continued. Traditions evolved. Daily life, although altered by conquest and disease, maintained its structure and function. Civilization persisted quietly beneath new rulers and new names. Babylon, too, offers lessons in endurance. Kings came and went, empires shifted, rivers changed course. Walls crumbled, palaces turned to dust. Yet knowledge endured. Legal codes guided new societies. Observations of the heavens influenced generations of astronomers. Urban planning and trade models informed future cities. Even when a city disappears from maps, its influence continues quietly, shaping what comes next. History moves like a slow river. The surface changes with storms, floods, and seasons, but the water beneath continues its flow. Stones may tumble into the current. Branches may fall and drift, yet the river persists. Civilizations are like that river. They rise, they transform, they fade, and still, their essence continues, reshaping the world in ways that are often invisible but profoundly important. Imagine walking through these landscapes slowly. The jungle around Tikal, humid and alive, echoing the steps of children long gone. The streets of Mexico City, built on Tenochtitlan, carrying layers of memory in every stone. The plains near Babylon, silent, sun-baked, whispering stories to those willing to listen. All around, life life adapts. People plant crops. Families celebrate rituals. Trade continues. Communities survive. And the subtle wisdom of past civilizations guides these actions, often unnoticed. Even when empires fail politically, socially, or militarily, they leave something more enduring. Systems of organization, law, trade, and education survive. Cultural practices, rituals, and moral codes survive. Knowledge, practical or spiritual, endures. Civilizations are never truly gone, they simply transform. As you breathe slowly now, notice how quietly this applies to the world around you. Every road you walk, every law you follow, every school you attend, every city you inhabit carries echoes of the civilizations that came before. Their lessons remain embedded in structures, ideas, and human behavior. Time folds over itself. Yesterday, centuries ago, and now coexist. History is subtle. History is continuous. History is patient. And so you rest. And so you listen. And so the rhythm of civilization, like the rhythm of your own body, moves quietly, invisibly, persistently, even when we think of the past as distant or lost. Its presence lingers. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon did not vanish. They transformed, influencing generations in ways that are subtle yet profound. In the regions once ruled by the Maya, modern communities maintain rituals and traditions that echo ancient practices. Corn remains central to daily life. Seasonal festivals continue to honor the cycles of planting and harvest. Knowledge of the stars, though measured differently, guides agriculture and ceremony. The very land carries the imprint of centuries of human activity. Terraces, canals, and foundations hidden beneath soil and vegetation. It is a quiet lesson in endurance. Civilizations may rise and fall, but human ingenuity and adaptation persist. Mexico, remnants of the Aztec world coexist with modern life. The city of Tenochtitlan may have been replaced by Mexico City, but the network of canals, streets, and markets still reflects the organization of its ancient founders. Food markets, trade routes, and agricultural methods retain echoes of ingenuity developed centuries ago. Festivals and religious traditions, though influenced by colonial history, incorporate elements that survived the transition from empire to colony. Daily life, movement, and commerce are shaped in part by systems laid down by people long gone. Babylon's lessons also endure, often in ways we do not immediately recognize. Legal codes inspired by the Code of Hammurabi informed justice systems far from Mesopotamia. Mathematical observations guided astronomers long after the city walls crumbled. Urban planning principles influenced rulers and builders across continents and centuries. Though the city itself became ruins, its intellectual and cultural influence rippled outward, carried through texts, trade, and scholarship. Civilizations, then, leave two types of legacies: physical and conceptual. Physical structures erode, collapse, or are repurposed. Conceptual structures laws, customs, knowledge, and social systems survive, guiding people who never saw the original city. And just as the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon influenced distant future generations, every civilization we live in today is already shaping the distant future. Roads we travel, markets we visit, schools we attend, and governments we participate in are layered with knowledge and practices inherited from the past. Even unnoticed, these traces guide our actions, our decisions, and our societies. As you breathe slowly, consider this. History is not abrupt. It does not vanish in a day. It is a continuous, gentle transformation. Like the slow flow of a river, time reshapes stone, land, and ideas. Life adapts to circumstance. Memory carries knowledge forward. Imagine standing in a Maya plaza, overgrown with jungle, or walking along a canal in Tenochtitlan, now filled with modern life, but still tracing ancient paths, or wandering the plains of Babylon, where ruins are silent, yet ideas echo through millennia. Everything you see, everything you experience, is layered with history. Every structure, every custom, every law is a whisper from the past. Civilizations fade quietly. They transform silently. They persist through people, practices, and ideas. And as your body relaxes, as your mind drifts toward sleep, you can understand this. History is not loud. It is patient. It is continuous. And it flows quietly, shaping life in ways we often do not see, but always feel. Even as we speak of these ancient civilizations, the lesson they leave is not about their demise, but about continuity. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon were not failures. They were experiments in human organization, belief, and adaptation. Their stones crumble, their rulers pass, yet the knowledge they created quietly persists, shaping worlds far beyond their own. Consider the Maya. Their cities, reclaimed by jungle, remind us of impermanence. The temples, pyramids, and plazas that once bustled with life are now silent. Yet beneath that silence is memory, knowledge of agriculture, calendars, astronomy, and ritual that survived centuries of environmental change. Their descendants maintain a link to this wisdom, carrying forward traditions, stories, and practical knowledge that tie the past to the present. The Aztecs, rising in the Valley of Mexico, demonstrated how a civilization could adapt to its environment. An island city, networked with canals, feeding hundreds of thousands through ingenuity and labor. Their empire was demanding, their systems strict, yet their culture thrived for centuries, even after conquest and disease dismantled their political structure. The frameworks of urban planning, trade, and social organization persisted in subtle ways, shaping the lives of generations who never saw Tenochtitlan at its peak. Babylon teaches a slightly different lesson. Its walls fell many times, rivers shifted, empires came and went, yet the city endured in influence. Its laws informed future legal systems. Its mathematics guided astronomers. Its Its cultural and civic structures influenced the design and administration of distant cities. Civilization does not vanish when the political center fades. It travels in ideas, in structure, and in culture, quietly guiding what comes next. Notice this pattern: rise, adaptation, quiet transformation. It repeats across geography and time. Civilizations are not defined by their moment of political dominance, but by what they leave behind. Physical monuments may crumble, but ideas endure. Social organization, rituals, art, technology, and knowledge ripple forward, quietly influencing people who never saw the original city. History is patient. It is subtle. It is continuous. And so we come to understand the gentle rhythm of civilizations. They do not collapse in a single day. They fade over decades, over centuries, through a series of small, almost imperceptible shifts. Crops fail. Rivers move. Political authority weakens. Trade slows. Communities migrate. Knowledge adapts and survives. And life continues. This pattern mirrors life itself. Awareness, like civilization, slows over time. Breathing deepens. Thoughts soften. Muscles relax. The mind drifts. Yet beneath it all, the body continues to function, adapt, and preserve knowledge, much like societies preserve systems, culture, and wisdom across centuries. As you listen, imagine standing in the ruins of these civilizations, slowly taking in the scale of what remains. Stone steps softened by centuries of rain. Canals that once carried food and trade, now quiet. Temples empty, but aligned with the same stars that guided their builders. Foundations, walls, and streets hidden beneath soil or modern construction. All of it a testament to human persistence, to the quiet, patient endurance of culture and knowledge. Even when rulers vanish and empires crumble, the systems of life, thought, and adaptation endure. Civilization is a river, moving slowly, reshaping the landscape, leaving traces that guide future generations. And as you relax further, feeling the weight of sleep draw near, let the quiet whisper of these civilizations guide your mind. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon continue to teach quietly, without sound, without spectacle. They teach us patience, adaptation, resilience, and the subtle power of ideas over stone and time. Even as you drift deeper into rest, you are walking through layers of history, each breath a connection to centuries of human life, thought, and persistence. Time flows gently. Civilization endures. Knowledge persists. And so, quietly, the world continues. And now, as your mind drifts even further into quietness, let us reflect on what these ancient civilizations leave behind. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon did not vanish in an instant. Their cities may be silent, their rulers long gone, but their influence moves forward, invisible yet persistent. It is carried in knowledge, in culture, in the patterns of human life that survive centuries. Consider the lessons again. The Maya teach patience and harmony with nature. Their calendars remind us that time is a cycle, not a straight line. The Aztecs teach organization, adaptation, and the complexity of human society. Babylon teaches the enduring power of law, mathematics, and structured knowledge. Each civilization offers a whisper from the past, a subtle guide for the present, a gentle influence on the future. As you imagine walking through these ancient spaces, notice the quiet lessons everywhere. Stone steps softened by centuries of rain, canals that once moved life and trade, temples aligned with the sun and stars, foundations layered with generations of human effort. All of it speaks, quietly, patiently, and persistently. Even today, we are shaped by these echoes. Every law, every city, every calendar, every tradition carries traces of what came before. Civilization is never truly lost. It transforms. It adapts. It endures through people, ideas, and culture. Your body slows, your breathing deepens, and your mind drifts with the rhythm of time itself. As you relax, notice that history and life share the same cadence. Small changes accumulate. Systems adapt. Knowledge is preserved. Civilization flows, quietly but relentlessly, just like your own consciousness as it drifts toward sleep. And so, as the stories of the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon fade into silence, let yourself drift as well. There is no hurry, no urgency, no demand. Just time, movement, and gentle reflection. Let the layers of history guide you into calm, and let the knowledge of the past remind you that life endures, quietly and steadily, no matter what changes. And as this quiet journey comes to a close, remember, the past is not lost. It lives in every breath, every thought, every action. You are part of the long continuum of human experience. And even as you rest tonight, civilizations continue to shape the world around you, invisible yet persistent, patient yet powerful. If you enjoyed this slow, calming journey through history, consider subscribing for more long, relaxing narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments, and let yourself return whenever you wish to wander quietly through the civilizations of the past, to learn, to reflect, and to rest. Now, as your mind drifts completely towards sleep, let the quiet whispers of the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon carry you gently into dreams. Time moves slowly. Life endures. Civilization persists. And you quietly drift with it. Time flows like a slow river. Even when we think of history as distant, it is present, layered beneath the land we walk on, the streets we travel, the customs we practice. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon teach us that continuity is quiet, often unnoticed, yet profoundly persistent. In the Maya world, forests have fully reclaimed the great cities. Trees grow through temples, vines twist around pyramids, and moss covers plazas once filled with ceremony and commerce. Birds sing where priests once chanted. Insects crawl along carved reliefs, tracing patterns long forgotten by humans. Sunlight moves across the stone, illuminating hieroglyphs that were once vibrant with paint and ritual meaning. The Maya did not vanish. They adapted. Communities moved to fertile land. Knowledge persisted through storytelling, ceremony, and careful observation of the environment. Calendars were remembered, planting cycles followed, stars tracked. Life adjusted to conditions, not collapsing, but transforming. Their survival is subtle. It is quiet. It teaches us patience and adaptation. Across the valley of the Aztecs, life carries echoes of Tenochtitlan. Streets and plazas trace the paths of the old city. Markets thrive where canals once flowed. Even when foreign conquest dismantled political structures, the organization of daily life, trade, and agriculture adapted. The network of Chinempas continued, feeding communities. Traditions persisted, blended with new influences. Civilizations do not vanish entirely. They evolve, leaving frameworks that guide successive generations. Urban design, governance, ritual, agriculture. These systems remain quietly under the surface of new societies. Babylon teaches endurance through knowledge. Kings and empires come and go. Palaces crumble. Rivers shift. Yet the intellectual and cultural systems survive. Law, mathematics, astronomy, and urban planning ripple across time, shaping societies far beyond the original city walls. Knowledge does not perish with political decline. It travels, adapts, and persists. Notice the pattern: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations are patient. They change slowly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge continues. Life adapts. Communities survive. As your mind slows, imagine walking through these ancient landscapes. The Maya forest, humid and layered with centuries of growth. The Aztec streets, layered with history beneath modern life. The plains of Babylon, quiet, sunlit, whispering of law, mathematics, and civic order. All of it is history flowing gently, unnoticed yet persistent. Ideas, knowledge, and culture outlast stone and ruler. The past continues through the present, shaping life subtly, quietly, invisibly. And now, as your breathing slows further, notice how these patterns mirror your own rhythm. Awareness softens, thoughts drift, muscles relax. Like civilizations, life adapts, transforms, persists. Nothing is lost. Everything continues. Civilizations are rivers. History is patience. Knowledge is eternal. And now you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. Even as civilizations rise and fall, their influence quietly endures. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon are proof of this gentle persistence. They teach us that human achievement is not measured solely in monuments or empires, but in knowledge, adaptation, and cultural continuity. In the Maya forests, stone temples remain half hidden under thick foliage. Stairs are cracked, plazas are silent, yet life pulses around them. Trees grow where people once worked. Streams cut through old causeways. The air is humid, the sounds of birds and insects filling spaces where humans once gathered. Knowledge of astronomy, agriculture, and ritual survived. Calendars, ceremonial timing, planting cycles, all adapted and persisted quietly, carried through generations by people who never stopped observing the natural world. The Maya demonstrate that survival is not always about power. It is about observation, adaptation, and patience. Life continues, even when cities fall. In Mexico, the remnants of the Aztec world are layered beneath modern streets, markets, and plazas. Tenochtitlan, though transformed into Mexico City, still shapes daily life. Canals are replaced, but their path guides modern infrastructure. Markets follow ancient routes. Agricultural techniques endure in subtle ways. Even after conquest, disease, and systemic change, life adapts, and traditions persist. The social frameworks laid by the Aztecs continue to influence community organization and daily routines. Civilization adapts, quietly yet resiliently. Babylon, distant in both time and space, shows endurance through ideas. Empires rose and fell. Kings ruled briefly. Palaces crumbled. The Tigris shifted. Yet Babylon's contributions to law, mathematics, and urban organization echo through the centuries. Legal principles shaped future societies. Astronomy informed generations of scholars. City planning influenced rulers far from Mesopotamia. Knowledge travels independently of political power, quietly persisting, guiding those who come later. Notice the rhythm: rise, adaptation, subtle transformation. Civilization is a slow river flowing quietly through time. Systems loosen gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. Now, as your mind drifts further, imagine walking through these landscapes. The dense Maya forest, alive with sound, carrying centuries of memory. The Aztec streets, layered with history beneath modern life, still echoing with patterns of trade and ritual. The plains of Babylon, empty yet humming with intellectual legacy, whispering lessons on law, time, and human order. Everything is layered. Nothing is truly lost. Every stone, every street, every tradition carries echoes of what came before. Civilization is continuous, patient, and enduring. As you relax, consider how this mirrors your own life. Thoughts soften, awareness drifts, breathing slows, muscles release tension. Like civilizations, your mind and body adapt, persist, and continue in quiet rhythms. History is subtle. Civilization is continuous. Knowledge endures. And now you drift with it, slowly, calmly, peacefully. Time moves quietly, whether we notice it or not. Even civilizations, which often seem monumental and eternal, follow this slow, patient rhythm. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon all rise, adapt, and transform, leaving lessons in their wake that stretch far beyond the lifespans of individuals or the height of empires. In the dense Maya forests, temples and pyramids stand half-hidden, softened by centuries of growth. Stairs cracked by rain, plazas reclaimed by vegetation, walls traced by vines, all whisper of a people who observed the world carefully and built in harmony with it. Their knowledge of astronomy guided planting cycles, rituals, and community life. Calendars measured time not as a straight line, but as a repeating, interconnected cycle. Life, for the Maya, was measured in patterns, not in dominance. The Maya endured through adaptation. When cities became unsustainable, communities migrated or reorganized. Knowledge persisted, not on stone alone, but in memory, story, and practice. Generations preserved what was essential: observation of nature, understanding of cycles, and the continuity of culture. Far to the north, the Aztecs built an empire on an island in Lake Texcoco. Tenochtitlan rose as a model of ingenuity, with canals, floating gardens, and complex markets feeding a dense population. Their social organization, tribute system, and urban design allowed a civilization to flourish in challenging conditions. Even after foreign conquest dismantled political structures, life continued along the same routes, following the frameworks the Aztecs established. Knowledge, customs, and systems persisted, quietly guiding the everyday lives of generations. Babylon, though even older, demonstrates endurance through intellectual and civic innovation. Empires rose and fell around it. Kings ruled briefly. Rivers shifted. Walls crumbled. Yet law codes, astronomy, mathematics, and city planning continued to shape distant societies. Knowledge persisted independently of political power, quietly influencing generations across centuries. Civilization moves like a slow river. Surface changes, conquest, drought, decay occur first. Stone crumbles, buildings collapse, kings die. Yet the currents below, composed of knowledge, culture, and social structure, continue to flow. Life adapts, communities endure, and lessons persist. Imagine walking slowly through these spaces. The Maya forest, humid and alive, carrying memory in every leaf and stone. The streets of Mexico City, layered over Tenochtitlan, tracing ancient paths without interruption. The plains of Babylon, silent, yet humming with the invisible structures of law, knowledge, and organization. Nothing is lost entirely. Civilizations transform. They adapt. They leave traces, subtle but persistent. As your breathing slows and your muscles release tension, notice how this mirrors your own life. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Like civilizations, you continue. Knowledge, adaptation, and rhythm persist. History moves quietly, patiently. Civilization endures. Even as the world changes around you, continuity remains. Every law, every tradition, every social structure carries echoes of what came before. Civilization whispers. Life continues. Time flows gently. And now, you drift with it slowly, quietly, peacefully, carried by centuries of human persistence and wisdom. Even as civilizations fade, they leave whispers behind. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon did not disappear entirely. They transformed. Their cities may be overgrown, rebuilt, or buried, but their influence persists quietly in knowledge, culture, and human organization. The Maya forests are alive with memory. Stones once climbed by priests and nobles now host moss and roots. Sunlight filters through dense canopies, highlighting the carvings that still tell stories of gods, seasons, and celestial cycles. The Maya measured time in cycles, not in lines. They observed nature, adapting agricultural practices to its rhythm. Even as cities declined, their knowledge survived through oral tradition, ritual, and observation, forming a bridge across centuries. In the Valley of Mexico, Tenochtitlan's legacy endures under modern Mexico City. Canals are replaced, but their paths guide urban layouts. Markets thrive along routes first established by the Aztecs. Agricultural knowledge, though adapted, carries the echoes of Chinampas, floating gardens that allowed cities to feed tens of thousands. Even after conquest and disease dismantled the empire, society adjusted. Frameworks of governance, trade, and daily life persisted. Civilization quietly continued, layering the old over the new. Babylon teaches endurance through intellect and structure. Kings, empires, and walls may have come and gone. Rivers shifted, palaces collapsed, and dynasties ended. Yet Babylon's laws, astronomy, mathematics, and urban planning survived, traveling beyond the city to shape distant societies. Knowledge transcends the limits of political power. Ideas persist, quietly influencing generations who may never set foot in the ancient city. Notice the rhythm, rise, adaptation, subtle transformation. Civilization does not collapse instantly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. The same principle applies to our own lives. Patterns continue. Lessons persist. Adaptation ensures survival. Imagine walking through these ancient landscapes. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of life and memory. The streets and plazas of Mexico City, layered with Aztec history. The sun-baked plains of Babylon, echoing with intellectual legacy. Every stone, every street, every tradition carries history's whisper. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge is persistent. Life continues. As you breathe deeply, notice how this mirrors your own rhythm. Awareness softens. Thoughts drift. Muscles relax. Like civilizations, you continue. Time flows gently. Life endures. Knowledge persists. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Every law, ritual, agricultural practice, and urban layout carries their quiet influence. Civilization whispers. Life moves forward. And so, you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. If you enjoyed this slow, immersive journey through history, consider subscribing for more relaxing, sleep-friendly narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments and return anytime to wander through the whispers of civilization's past. And as you drift deeper, let the gentle currents of time carry you into calm rest. The past endures. Civilization persists, knowledge flows, and you quietly drift with it. Time passes quietly, almost imperceptibly, yet it carries everything forward. Civilizations rise, transform, and fade, leaving traces that persist long after rulers, monuments, and empires vanish. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon exemplify this quiet endurance. They did not disappear, they adapted, influenced, and left legacies that ripple across centuries. In the Maya forests, stone temples and pyramids are softened by time. Roots twist through steps, vines climb walls, and moss blankets plazas. Birds and insects animate spaces once filled with human life. The sun moves slowly across the carvings, revealing ancient stories of gods, seasons, and celestial cycles. The Maya measured time as interconnected cycles, observing nature carefully, adapting their lives to rhythms they could predict. Even as cities declined, knowledge persisted through memory, ritual, and observation. Life continued, transformed, yet continuous. The Aztecs in the Valley of Mexico built an empire on an island, thriving through ingenuity and social organization. Tenochtitlan's canals, markets, and chinempas sustained tens of thousands. Even after conquest and disease dismantled their political structure, the city's layout and social rhythms persisted. Daily life continued along paths first designed centuries before. Civilization adapted, quietly preserving knowledge and practice, layering the old with the new. Babylon, centuries older, shows endurance through intellect and civic order. Walls crumble, rivers shift, kings rule briefly. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and city planning spread beyond its borders, quietly influencing distant societies. Knowledge moves independently of political power, persistent and invisible. Civilization does not vanish, it transforms, carrying its lessons forward. Observe the rhythm, rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse suddenly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. This mirrors the subtle flow of your own consciousness. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles relax. Your mind continues its rhythms, quietly and steadily, just as civilizations persist. Imagine walking through these ancient landscapes. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing ancient pathways. The plains of Babylon, sunlit and quiet, resonating with the structure of ideas and law. Every stone, street, and tradition whispers history. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe slowly and notice how these patterns mirror your life. Civilization flows through time, through memory, and through human adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly and resiliently. Time moves gently. Life endures. Knowledge flows. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon leave their traces. Laws, rituals, agricultural systems Urban patterns, these echoes guide the present. Civilization whispers, persistent yet subtle. Life continues, and you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. Let the gentle currents of history carry you into calm rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows, and you quietly drift with it. Civilizations are patient teachers. They do not shout. They do not demand attention. They simply leave traces, stone, knowledge, ritual, and culture that guide future generations. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon exemplify this quiet endurance. Their cities may crumble, their rulers may vanish, yet their influence persists, subtle, persistent, and transformative. In the forests of the Maya, pyramids and temples are softened by centuries of growth. Roots twist through steps, moss blankets plazas, vines climb walls, and sunlight slowly illuminates carvings that tell stories of gods, seasons, and celestial cycles. The Maya measured time as cycles, observing nature, understanding patterns, and adapting their agriculture and rituals to the rhythm of life. Even when cities fell, knowledge survived through memory, ceremony, and careful observation. Life continued, transformed yet enduring. The Aztecs, rising on the islands of Lake Texcoco, built a network of canals, chinampas, markets, and plazas that allowed a dense population to thrive. Their social and agricultural systems required discipline and ingenuity. Even after conquest and disease dismantled their political empire, the city's layout, trade routes, and social practices persisted. Civilization quietly adapted, layering the old within the new. Knowledge and practice were preserved, invisible yet enduring, guiding the present without fanfare. Babylon, though long gone politically, survives through intellect and law. Kings, empires, and walls come and go. Rivers shift, palaces collapse. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and city planning spread, influencing societies far beyond its borders. Knowledge does not require monuments to endure. It travels through people, through ideas, through culture, quietly shaping the future. Civilization persists through its lessons, not through its rulers. Notice the rhythm, rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse suddenly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. This is mirrored in the rhythm of your own mind and body. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles relax. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues its quiet rhythm, steady and resilient. Imagine walking through these spaces. The Maya forest, humid and alive, carrying centuries of memory in every stone and leaf. The streets of Mexico City, layered over Tenochtitlan, tracing paths first designed centuries before. The plains of Babylon, quiet, sunlit, resonating with structures of law, knowledge, and civic order. Every stone, street, and tradition whispers history. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe slowly. Notice how these patterns mirror your own existence. Civilization flows quietly and persistently through time. Knowledge carries forward. Life adapts. And like the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon, you continue quietly, resiliently, and peacefully. Even now, the legacies of these civilizations persist. Laws, rituals, agricultural systems, urban designs, they guide the present, echoing from the past. Civilization whispers. Life continues. Knowledge flows, and you drift gently with it, carried by centuries of human persistence and wisdom. Let the quiet currents of history carry you deeper into rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows, and you quietly drift with it. Time flows quietly. Even when we believe history is lost, it endures. Civilizations rise, transform, and fade, leaving traces that persist in unexpected ways. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon are proof of this gentle endurance. They did not vanish. They adapted, influenced, and left legacies that ripple far into the future. In the Maya forests, pyramids and temples are softened by centuries of growth. Roots twist through steps, moss blankets plazas, vines climb walls, and sunlight slowly illuminates ancient carvings. The Maya observed time as cycles, not straight lines. They aligned their lives with the rhythm of nature, agriculture, and celestial patterns. Even as cities declined, knowledge survived through memory, ritual, and careful observation. Life persisted, quietly and resiliently. The Aztecs, rising on the islands of Lake Texcoco, built a city sustained by ingenuity, labor, and careful organization. Canals, chinampas, markets, and plazas allowed society to thrive. Even after conquest and disease dismantled their political structure, the systems they created persisted. Streets trace ancient roots. Markets follow paths first established centuries ago. Civilization quietly adapted, preserving knowledge and practice beneath the surface of daily life. Babylon demonstrates endurance through intellect and civic order. Walls crumble, rivers shift, kings rule briefly. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and city planning spread far beyond the city's borders. Knowledge persists independently of political power. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and practice, quietly guiding generations across centuries. Observe the rhythm, rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse suddenly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. This mirrors your own inner rhythm. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles release tension. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues quietly, resiliently, persistently. Imagine walking through these ancient landscapes. The Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing paths of past generations. The plains of Babylon, sunlit and quiet, resonating with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and tradition whispers history. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe deeply. Notice how these patterns mirror your own life. Civilization flows through time, through memory, and through human adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue. Time moves gently. Life endures. Knowledge flows. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agricultural practices, urban patterns, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life persists. Knowledge travels across time. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. Let the quiet currents of history carry you deeper into rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. Civilizations leave a quiet imprint on time. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon teach us that the endurance of humanity is not measured only in stone or empire, but in knowledge, culture, and adaptation. Though cities crumble and rulers vanish, ideas persist, invisible yet persistent, shaping the lives of generations that follow. In the Maya forests, temples are softened by centuries of growth. Moss blankets stone, vines climb walls, roots twist through steps, and sunlight illuminates carvings that tell stories of gods, seasons, and the stars. Time was measured in cycles, not lines. The Maya aligned their lives with natural rhythms, agriculture, and celestial patterns. Knowledge survived through oral tradition, observation, and ritual. Life adapted. Civilization quietly endured. The Aztecs, building their island city on Lake Texcoco, demonstrated ingenuity and organization. Canals, chinempas, markets, and plazas allowed tens of thousands to thrive. Even after conquest and disease dismantled political authority, society adapted. Streets traced ancient roots. Markets followed paths first established centuries before. Civilization persisted beneath the surface, silently preserving knowledge, culture, and practical systems. Babylon, though long gone politically, endured intellectually. Kings rose and fell. Walls crumbled. Rivers shifted. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and urban planning spread across time, shaping societies far beyond its borders. Knowledge transcends political power. Civilization survives through ideas, quietly guiding generations. Notice the rhythm: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not vanish overnight. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge endures. Life adapts. Communities persist. This rhythm mirrors your own mind and body. Awareness softens. Thoughts drift. Muscles relax. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness flows quietly, resiliently, persistently. Imagine walking through these ancient spaces. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The layered streets of Mexico City above Tenochtitlan, tracing the paths of ancestors. The plains of Babylon, quiet, sunlit, echoing with structures of law, knowledge, and order. Every stone, every street, every ritual carries history's whisper. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe slowly. Notice how these patterns mirror your own existence. Civilization flows through time, memory, and human adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, and peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agricultural systems, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life continues. Knowledge persists. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. If you enjoyed this slow, immersive journey through history, consider subscribing for more relaxing, sleep-friendly narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments. Return anytime to wander through the whispers of past civilizations. And now, as your mind drifts deeper into calm rest, let the quiet currents of time carry you further. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. Time moves slowly, almost imperceptibly. Civilizations rise, transform, and fade, yet their influence endures quietly. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon show us that endurance is not measured by monuments alone, but by knowledge, culture, and adaptation. Cities crumble, rulers vanish, yet ideas persist, subtle and powerful, guiding generations that never saw the original civilization. In the Maya forests, pyramids and temples are softened by centuries of growth. Moss blanket stone, vines climb walls, and roots twist through steps. Sunlight illuminates carvings that tell stories of gods, seasons, and celestial patterns. Time was measured as cycles, not lines. Observation, adaptation, and ritual ensured the survival of knowledge even as political structures faded. Life continued, quietly and resiliently. The Aztecs, building on Lake Texcoco, demonstrated ingenuity, organization, and adaptation. Canals, chinempas, markets, and plazas supported dense populations. After conquest and disease dismantled political authority, social frameworks persisted. Streets, trade routes, and agricultural practices remained. Civilization adapted, layering the old over the new. Knowledge and practice survived silently, guiding daily life and community organization. Babylon, though long gone politically, persists through intellect and structure. Kings rose and fell. Walls crumbled. Rivers shifted. Yet law, mathematics, astronomy, and urban planning endured. Knowledge moved independently of power, shaping societies far from its origin. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and memory, quietly influencing the present and future. Notice the pattern: rise, adaptation, subtle transformation. Civilizations do not collapse suddenly. Systems loosen gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. This mirrors your own internal rhythm. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles release tension. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues steadily, quietly, resiliently. Imagine walking through these ancient spaces. the humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing ancient pathways. The plains of Babylon, sunlit, resonating with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and tradition whispers history. Nothing is truly lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe slowly. Notice how these patterns mirror your life. Civilization flows through time, memory, and human adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agricultural systems, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life continues. Knowledge flows. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. Let the quiet currents of history carry you further into calm rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. And as this journey comes to a close, remember, the lessons of the past are not in loud monuments, but in subtle persistence. Patience, adaptation, observation, and resilience are the quiet forces that carry life and civilization forward. Time flows gently, unceasing. Even when civilizations appear to vanish, their influence persists quietly, unseen, but profound. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon teach us that endurance is not measured in stone or empire alone, but in knowledge, culture, and adaptation. Political structures may crumble, rulers may disappear, yet the essence of civilization continues. Ideas, practices, and patterns ripple forward, shaping generations that never walked the original streets. In the Maya forests, temples and pyramids are softened by centuries of growth. Moss blankets stone, vines climb walls, roots twist through steps. Sunlight moves slowly across ancient carvings, illuminating stories of gods, seasons, and celestial cycles. Time was measured in repeating cycles, not lines. Observation, adaptation, and ritual ensured that knowledge survived the decline of cities. Life persisted, quietly and resiliently, layer upon layer, generation after generation. The Aztecs, rising on islands in Lake Texcoco, demonstrated ingenuity, organization, and resilience. Canals, chinempas, markets, and plazas supported tens of thousands. Even after conquest and disease dismantled their political power, the systems they created persisted. Streets, trade routes, and agricultural methods continued. Civilization adapted, quietly preserving knowledge, culture, and practical organization beneath daily life. Babylon, though long gone politically, endures through intellect, law, and urban design. Kings rose and fell. Walls crumbled. Rivers shifted. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and city planning influenced societies far beyond its borders. Knowledge travels independently of political power, quietly shaping generations across centuries. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and memory. Notice the rhythm: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse instantly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. This rhythm mirrors your own mind. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles release tension. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues quietly, steadily, and resiliently. Imagine walking through these ancient spaces. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing ancient paths. The plains of Babylon, sunlit, resonating with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and tradition whispers history. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe deeply. Notice how these patterns mirror your own existence. Civilization flows through time, memory, and adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agriculture, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life continues. Knowledge flows. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. If you enjoyed this slow, immersive journey through history, consider subscribing for more relaxing, sleep-friendly narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments and return anytime to wander through the whispers of civilization's past. And now, as your mind drifts deeper into calm rest, let the quiet currents of history carry you further. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. Remember, patience, adaptation, observation, and resilience are the forces that allow civilizations and life itself to persist across centuries. And now, quietly, let yourself rest. Even as centuries pass, the essence of civilizations quietly persists. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon teach us that endurance is subtle, measured not in monuments or rulers alone, but in knowledge, culture, and adaptation. Cities crumble, kings vanish, yet ideas and practices ripple forward, shaping lives long after the original inhabitants are gone. In the Maya forests, temples and pyramids are softened by time. Moss blankets stone, vines climb walls, and roots twist through steps. Sunlight moves slowly across carvings that tell stories of gods, the cycles of seasons, and celestial patterns. Time was measured in repeating cycles, not linear progress. Observation, adaptation, and ritual preserved knowledge across generations. Even as cities fell, life persisted quietly and resiliently. The Aztecs, rising on islands in Lake Texcoco, built a city sustained by ingenuity and organization. Canals, chinampas, markets, and plazas supported thousands. Even after conquest and disease dismantled political power, the social and agricultural frameworks persisted. Streets traced ancient roots. Markets continued along paths first established centuries before. Civilization adapted, quietly preserving knowledge, culture, and practical systems beneath the surface of daily life. Babylon, though long gone politically, endured intellectually. Kings rose and fell, walls crumbled, rivers shifted. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and urban planning traveled beyond the city, influencing societies far away. Knowledge moves independently of political power, shaping generations silently across centuries. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and memory. Notice the rhythm: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse suddenly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge endures. Life adapts. Communities persist. This rhythm mirrors your own mind. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles release tension. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues steadily and quietly. Imagine walking through these landscapes. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing ancient paths. The plains of Babylon, sunlit and quiet, resonating with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and tradition whispers history. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe deeply. Notice how these patterns mirror your life. Civilization flows through time, memory, and adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, and peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agricultural systems, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life persists. Knowledge flows. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. As your mind relaxes further, let the quiet currents of history carry you deeper into rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. Time drifts quietly, like a gentle river. Even when civilizations appear lost, their influence persists in subtle, enduring ways. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon demonstrate that endurance is not measured solely in stone or empire, but in knowledge, culture, and adaptation. Cities crumble. Kings vanish. Yet ideas ripple forward, shaping generations that never walked their streets. In the Maya forests, temples and pyramids are softened by centuries of growth. Moss blanket stone, vines climb walls, roots twist through steps. Sunlight filters through trees, illuminating carvings that tell stories of gods, the cycles of seasons, and celestial rhythms. The Maya measured time as cycles, not linear progress. Observation, adaptation, and ritual preserved knowledge across generations. Even as cities fell, life quietly persisted, resilient and continuous. The Aztecs, rising on islands in Lake Texcoco, built a city sustained by ingenuity and organization. Canals, chinempas, markets, and plazas supported thousands. After conquest and disease dismantled political authority, streets and trade routes continued along paths established centuries before. Civilization adapted quietly, preserving knowledge, culture, and practical systems beneath daily life. Babylon, though long gone politically, endures intellectually. Kings rose and fell, walls crumbled, rivers shifted. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and city planning influenced societies far beyond its borders. Knowledge moves independently of political power, shaping generations silently across centuries. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and memory. Notice the rhythm: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse instantly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge endures. Life adapts. Communities persist. This rhythm mirrors your own mind. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles relax. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues quietly, steadily, and resiliently. Imagine walking through these landscapes. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing ancient paths. The plains of Babylon, sunlit and quiet, resonating with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and tradition whispers history. Nothing is lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe slowly. Notice how these patterns mirror your life. Civilization flows through time, memory, and adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agricultural systems, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life persists. Knowledge flows. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. As your mind relaxes further, let the quiet currents of history carry you deeper into rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. Time moves quietly, endlessly, like a river flowing through centuries. Civilizations rise, flourish, and fade, yet their influence quietly endures. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon teach us that the strength of humanity is not measured in monuments or rulers alone, but in knowledge, culture, and adaptation. Cities crumble. Kings disappear. Yet ideas, practices, and patterns ripple forward, shaping lives long after the original inhabitants are gone. In the Maya forests, temples and pyramids have softened with age. Moss blankets stone, vines climb walls, roots twist through steps. Sunlight moves slowly across carvings that tell stories of gods, seasons, and celestial patterns. Time was measured in repeating cycles, not straight lines. Observation, adaptation, and ritual preserved knowledge across generations. Even as cities declined, life quietly persisted, resiliently, continuously. The Aztecs, rising on islands in Lake Texcoco, built a city sustained by ingenuity and organization. Canals, chinampas, markets, and plazas allowed thousands to thrive. Even after conquest and disease dismantled their political authority, streets, trade routes, and agricultural systems persisted. Civilization adapted quietly, layering old knowledge beneath new life, ensuring continuity through subtle practice. Babylon, though long gone politically, endures intellectually. Kings rose and fell, walls crumbled, rivers shifted. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and urban planning traveled beyond the city, shaping distant societies. Knowledge flows independently of political power. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and memory. Observe the rhythm: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse suddenly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. This rhythm mirrors your own mind. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles release tension. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues quietly, steadily, and resiliently. Imagine walking through these ancient landscapes. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing paths of generations past. The plains of Babylon, sunlit and calm, resonating with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and ritual carries history's whisper. Nothing is truly lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe deeply. Notice how these patterns mirror your life. Civilization flows through time, memory, and adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agriculture, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life persists. Knowledge flows. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. As your mind drifts deeper, let the quiet currents of history carry you further into rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. Time flows endlessly, quietly, carrying with it the echoes of civilizations long past. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon teach us that the essence of humanity endures not through monuments or kings, but through knowledge, culture, and adaptation. Cities crumble. Rulers vanish. Yet ideas, systems, and practices ripple forward, shaping generations that never walked their streets. In the forests of the Maya, temples and pyramids have softened with age. Moss blankets the stone, vines climb walls, roots twist through steps. Sunlight slowly illuminates carvings that tell stories of gods, seasons, and celestial patterns. Time was measured in repeating cycles, not straight lines. Observation, adaptation, and ritual preserved knowledge across generations. Even as cities declined, life quietly persisted, resiliently, continuously. The Aztecs on the islands of Lake Texcoco built a city sustained by ingenuity, labor, and organization. Canals, chinempas, markets, and plazas allowed thousands to thrive. After conquest and disease dismantled political authority, streets, trade routes, and agricultural systems persisted. Civilization adapted quietly, layering old knowledge beneath new life, ensuring continuity through subtle practices. Babylon, though long gone politically, endures intellectually. Kings rose and fell, walls crumbled, rivers shifted, yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and urban planning traveled beyond the city, quietly shaping distant societies. Knowledge flows independently of power. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and memory. Notice the rhythm: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse suddenly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge persists. Life adapts. Communities endure. This rhythm mirrors your own mind. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles release tension. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues quietly, steadily, and resiliently. Imagine walking through these ancient landscapes. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing paths of generations past. The plains of Babylon, sunlit and calm, resonating with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and ritual whispers history. Nothing is truly lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe slowly. Notice how these patterns mirror your life. Civilization flows through time, memory, and adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agriculture, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life persists. Knowledge flows. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. As this journey concludes, let the quiet currents of history carry you further into calm rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. If you enjoyed this immersive journey through ancient civilizations, consider subscribing for more slow, relaxing, sleep-friendly narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments and return anytime to explore the whispers of history. Patience, adaptation, observation, and resilience are the quiet forces that allow civilizations and life itself to endure across centuries. Let these lessons drift into your mind, and now, softly, peacefully, let yourself rest. Even after the rise and fall of great civilizations, the whispers of the past remain. The Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon remind us that endurance is quiet, subtle, and persistent. It is not measured in monuments or kings, but in knowledge, culture, and the lessons carried forward through time. Cities crumble, rulers vanish, yet ideas, practices, and patterns ripple gently, shaping lives long after the original inhabitants are gone. In the Maya forests, temples and pyramids soften under centuries of growth. Moss blanket stone, vines climb walls, roots twist through steps. Sunlight drifts across carvings, illuminating stories of gods, seasons, and celestial cycles. Time was measured in repeating cycles, not straight lines. Observation, adaptation, and ritual preserved knowledge through generations. Life continued quietly, resiliently, and continuously. The Aztecs on the islands of Lake Texcoco built a city sustained by ingenuity and organization. Canals, chinampas, markets, and plazas allowed thousands to thrive. Even after conquest and disease dismantled political authority, streets, trade routes, and agricultural systems persisted. Civilization adapted quietly, layering old knowledge beneath new life. Knowledge, culture, and practical systems endured silently, guiding daily life and community practices. Babylon, long gone politically, endures intellectually. Kings rose and fell. Walls crumbled. Rivers shifted. Yet Babylonian law, mathematics, astronomy, and urban planning influenced distant societies, quietly shaping generations. Knowledge moves independently of political power. Civilization survives through ideas, culture, and memory. Notice the rhythm: rise, adaptation, transformation. Civilizations do not collapse instantly. Systems weaken gradually. Knowledge endures. Life adapts. Communities persist. This mirrors your own mind. Thoughts drift. Awareness softens. Muscles relax. Breathing slows. Like civilizations, your consciousness continues quietly, steadily, and resiliently. Imagine walking through these ancient spaces one last time. The humid Maya forest, alive with centuries of memory. The streets of Mexico City, layered above Tenochtitlan, tracing paths of generations past. The plains of Babylon, sunlit, calm, echoing with law, knowledge, and human ingenuity. Every stone, street, and ritual whispers history. Nothing is truly lost. Civilization is patient. Knowledge endures. Life continues. Breathe slowly. Let these patterns mirror your life. Civilization flows through time, memory, and adaptation. Like these ancient societies, you continue quietly, resiliently, peacefully. Even now, the Maya, the Aztecs, and Babylon speak through subtle traces. Laws, rituals, agriculture, urban layouts, they guide the present. Civilization whispers. Life persists. Knowledge flows. And you drift with it, slowly, quietly, peacefully. As this bonus reflection concludes, let the quiet currents of history carry you deeper into calm rest. The past endures. Civilization persists. Knowledge flows. And you quietly drift with it. If you enjoyed this extended journey through ancient civilizations, consider subscribing for more slow, relaxing, sleep-friendly narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments and return anytime to wander through the whispers of history. Patience, adaptation, observation, and resilience are the quiet forces that allow civilizations and life itself to endure across centuries. Let these lessons drift into your mind, and now, softly, peacefully, let yourself rest.